Hi, I'm Nate Wakeford, your masculinity and mindset coach. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that seem at face value to make sense, but are actually quite damaging. And the first is the expectation that all change falls on the man, and that because if the man changes, then the woman will automatically change. Whilst I have a strong belief that the man has a lot of influence in his reality, I talk about him becoming the master creator of his reality, him the dominant force of creation in reality, these sort of terms. I don't believe in a relationship it is exclusively the man that needs to change. If there is conflict, disharmony, or something isn't working, I feel that a man is empowered to change both himself and his life circumstances. But in a healthy, functioning relationship, that responsibility is shared to maintain and create a healthy, functioning relationship. By blaming the other, by putting all responsibility on the other, actually creates a dynamic where there is not a harmonious reciprocity that is empowering to each party. It's not possible to demand positive outcomes, positive experiences, behaviors from another and not offer them yourself. It's not possible to expect something from another that you're not supportive of yourself. It's not possible to expect change in another without a willingness to change yourself. We are in an echo chamber. We are in an environment where we experience continuous opportunities for growth, where the people who are closest to us represent mirrors for our own growth, awareness, and evolution. So fighting the reflection doesn't help. But to reflect on what the reflection is offering us, to look deep within and see what the reflection means, why we are attracting it, why we're creating it, how we can use that information to grow and improve ourselves and our experience of life, is a much healthier alternative. The risk is that a man may need to improve, and it's pointed out by his woman, and he does so. But then, if she has a natural propensity to find faults in everything, the more that he tries to dance to anything that she points out, the more that she becomes the authority and leader in the relationship for pointing out continuously where he needs to improve, the more that man will be discouraged, the more that man will find out that he's not good enough, the more that he will fall into her frame of displeasure, and the more that that frame will be validated for her. She will disrespect him more. His behaviors of conformity and compliance will actually push her away. When what she actually wants is for himself to improve, of course, but to also stand for himself, to have a strategy to improve the direction and context of his relationship with the partner, but to also preserve his identity in a way where he knows what's best for him. He takes the feedback, but he applies it in a way that is congruent, in a way that is integrous to his current context and circumstance. If he becomes the lapdog to any orders that are barked at him consistently, it will be emasculating to the man. He will become something that the woman loathes. That barking is typically an expression of dissatisfaction, often frustration, could be sexual or otherwise, where that man has lost the respect of the woman. And it's often very difficult to get that respect back. But the actions and activities are coming from that disrespect. And if a man conforms to behaviors where he's given instructions and orders in a disrespectful way, she will disrespect him more. So a man becoming completely complicit and compliant to a woman's disdain will not help the circumstance. He needs to absolutely work on himself. He needs to improve himself. But he also needs to stand for what's good in him. And a woman also needs to acknowledge what is good within that man. If she is hypercritical and looking for faults at every turn, really it's coming from some deeper imperfection wound within herself that she is projecting onto a man and likely everything else in her reality. And if a man conforms to that, then it is going to be a disempowering decision. Instead, the man works on himself, but he acknowledges what is good within himself. He builds up pride within himself for his activities and endeavors in moving towards the top of man that he has committed himself to become, an extraordinary man. And this takes time. But if he looks at all of his faults along the way without acknowledging his progress, and especially if in a relationship, if the woman is unwilling or incapable of recognizing his progress and encouraging it and supporting it in it and honoring him for the progress he's making, then it's, in some ways, it's an endeavor that can be diminished by the other. And he's better going on that path alone if that's the case. He's better not being in the company of a person who's perpetually critical. And I don't believe it's solely and exclusively the man's responsibility to change that, as I've mentioned in a previous video. A woman has the ability to really make or break a man. And if she can see his potential, if she can be loyal to him as he goes through his trials and tribulations, as she can encourage him, and if she can encourage and support him as he goes through these trials, as he becomes a stronger and better man that he's committed himself to becoming, then there will be an extraordinary reciprocity in that relationship. Men have a deep, deep, deep desire to make their woman happy. And the more that she encourages him, the more that she witnesses in him the goodness, the more that will be evoked and brought out of him. And I know there's times when a woman may be frustrated, when she might be angry. And I know there's times, just being human, we can be critical of others. But really, this is a journey that requires self-awareness and self-reflection. And if we're only witnessing the cause of our pain in another, we're really not taking responsibility for our own. And so it's important that a man shows his devotion and love towards his woman through the cycles and seasons. And it's also important that he maintains his authority in the direction of his own life. And typically, that man must make his mission, his purpose, a priority. Because if, and again, it's said in some circles, and I mentioned it's important for a man to be in devotion to his wife, but that doesn't come at sacrifice to his path, his mission, his purpose in life. If he does so, both the woman and the man are condemned to a lesser trajectory in life. He must choose his purpose and commit to that. And then find a woman who is harmoniously complementary to that path and purpose. And through that pursuit of that path and purpose, he must take care of, devote to those who are supporting him on that journey. And that is the healthy dynamic. When a man does not have a path and a purpose, and when he finds a woman who is critical of him and ignoring and is not supportive of that man and his purpose, then he has a liability. He does not have a healthy and constructive relationship. He has a destructive relationship. And another aspect of this is a woman will offer her love and her sex to a man she admires and respects. So the man must first admire and respect his own path and purpose and the trajectory that he is on. And then the woman will typically reflect that. So I do believe it's a man's priority to build himself into a man that others will respect by first cultivating that respect within himself. But also to not allow or tolerate people who diminish him or disrespect him, even in the times when he is learning a lesson, even when he's made a mistake. There needs to be compassion and empathy and the opportunity to learn and grow. There needs to be forgiveness. There also needs to be nourishment. There needs to be time and space for healing, for compassion, for empathy, for clearing. This is such a fundamental element that when there is conflict, there has been any sort of build-up of resentment, that those charges with each other resolve through talking openly without a fear of repercussion and speaking directly to each other and giving each other time to speak and release what you're feeling and not trying to control the other or diminish the other. And that's a skill set. And that skill set is not commonly circulated around. Men need to learn it. And once they do, there's a greater possibility of a healthy foundation being set and a healthy maintenance of the relationships. And it's possible such that couples can thrive together. And then as an extension of that, communities can thrive. Part of this confusion is because there's so much circulated around in social media about how men should be showing up in a perfect way and how women should be showing up in a perfect way. But very few people, it's very easy and quick to assert what someone else is doing wrong. It's very difficult to take full responsibility. And if there's something that I've noticed really, is that when someone's hurting and in pain, it's much easier to project that pain onto another than take responsibility for however that pain was caused in the first place. This is for both genders. But until there's this self-accountability, until there's a responsibility for any harm being caused within self or to another, we arrive in these victim-perpetrator loops of blaming someone and then claiming you're the victim and then becoming the perpetrator, and then someone else comes in to be a hero and vice versa. This is all based on a lack of self-awareness and distortions that are perpetuated and pain that's passed forward, rather than owning our pain, healing it and resolving it. And if you're in pain, if you're in chaos, come back to your own peace. Restore it within yourself. Seek the support you need from your community, from your network, from healers that are adept and capable to support you. But don't put your pain on another person. And don't become a receptacle of another person's pain where you find yourself continuously being diminished and disrespected. It's not the healthy masculine way. This idea that men just are meant to absorb another's pain is not based in fact. It can be highly destructive, and it can be emotional violence and abuse. And if a man is taking emotional violence and abuse, it will break that man down. Now, there is a place where a man learns through suffering, and maybe that is what he needs to experience once to not choose it again and allow it. But the reality is, there are men that commit suicide. They become rageful and abusive fathers because they're ill-equipped. They are then lack confidence and esteem. They're not devoting to themselves. They're not committed to becoming a higher version of themselves. They're not surrounded by a supportive community. They take this on, then they either detach from reality or they choose to exit reality. And there is so much healing that needs to take place, both at the family level, the child trauma level, the learning the basis of becoming an effective man, unprogramming all the distortions that are being programmed into us through media, social media, schooling, all this sort of stuff. It's quite a minefield. The way home is the self-awareness, and the way the self-awareness is best attained is through the reflection of a healthy and supportive group, environment, brotherhood, mentor that can guide you through the lessons that they have encountered and discovered for themselves. So a man is responsible for his reality. He's responsible for his awareness of even the distortions in society. He's completely responsible for everything that happens to him in his environment. And if you would like to navigate the minefield that men are faced with today, I encourage you to join the Sovereign Brotherhood. There is a link in the captions below. If you are suffering from emotional overwhelm, if you are having conflict with your partner, if you are not able to lead with assertiveness, if you have unresolved traumas, I encourage you to reach out to me. You can have a direct call. Again, the link is in the caption below. And let's set a path to your empowerment. Let's build you into the man that you know you're capable of becoming. It's a journey that I wish for you. Start your rite of passage and your life experience will change for the better. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.